Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I've kind of been off the map, and today we're going to talk about that. As you know, you may or may not know, my husband and I just welcomed our third baby boy. So I took some time off to enjoy my 6 weeks, which is like the standard time that the doctor gives you to kind of recover having a newborn and being a mom. And so yeah, I kind of just been enjoying my 6 weeks. I can say that this is the first time that I've really had a postpartum journey that I had to work through, and we'll talk about that a little later. I also wanted to share my labor and delivery story, which a lot of you guys have asked me about. So let's get right into it. Before I get started talking about my labor and delivery story, I just want to let all of you out there know, whether you're a mom, an expecting mom, or just someone curious about labor and delivery that decided to click on this video, everyone's labor and delivery story is different. Every child is different. Every mom is different. Me being a mom of 3, each of my 3 deliveries were different. For example, Kenzo, I was 39 weeks and my water broke in the middle of the night in my bed. Went to the hospital. My labor was probably 3 hours. I pushed for 20 minutes and he was there. Boom. KJ, my water broke at 7 p.m. and he was there by 7:45. And he was also born at 39 weeks. And then this labor was very different, but that just goes to show you that every mom, every baby is completely different. So don't compare yourself to others. Don't compare your story to others. Everyone's gonna have their own experiences, and each of them are beautiful. Whether you go natural, whether you have your baby at home, whether you have your baby, I don't know, in a bathtub or whatever people do. You know, everything is, everyone's experience is gonna be different. And it's going to be fun, and there's going to be times where you feel like you can't do it, but you can, and the outcome is always so beautiful, and it's such a blessing. So let's get started. All right, so let me kind of set the tone for you guys. It was a unusually rainy Saturday night in LA. My family had just gone home. They were in town for the Christmas and like New Year's break, and my mom stayed behind because I was just like, you know, I was real ripe at the time. So my mom stayed behind, but she had just taken my dad and my sister to the airport. So it was a rainy night, probably like around 9:30 p.m. I was at home alone with Kenzo and KJ, and they were already asleep. And when my mom got home from the airport from dropping off my dad and my sister, I kind of like felt something, and I kind of didn't want to admit that it was like something, but I told my mom I felt something. So she was like, what? And I was like, I think I just had a contraction. And so she immediately is like, okay, it's go time. Like, let me go take a shower. Let me get dressed. You know, we need to go to the hospital. Mind you, I was at home alone with my kids. So she's like, you need to call the nanny. Like, get her here. It's go time. And I was like, Mom, it was just like one contraction. It'll probably go away. I'm 38 weeks. So I really did not think it was showtime, right? So maybe like 15 or 20 minutes goes by, and I was like, Mom, I had another one. But they were like really mild. I was still kind of like moving around. I didn't think it was anything serious. Because if you have kids, you gotta know like your contractions stop you like dead in your tracks. You can't talk. You can't think. You just kind of want to like die. But yeah. So when I was having these contractions, I was kind of like walking around. I'd kind of like stop like, you know, but I didn't think anything of them. So meanwhile, I had no hospital bag packed. In between my 20 minutes, my mom has packed my hospital bag, taken a shower, put on a full face of makeup, and told me to call my nanny. So after the second one, I called her because my nanny lives 2 hours away. And so that just to give her enough time to get there. So as we're waiting for my nanny to get here to be with the kids so I can go to the hospital, at least to get checked out, I don't know. I'm like having these random contractions. They're not consistent. And I may have had like 3 or 4 by the time my nanny got there. And so this puts us at like 11. So I call my husband in the meantime, who was in Minnesota for work. He had just left that morning. And I'm like, hey babe, I'm kind of having some contractions, but I don't think it's anything to be worried about. And he's like, so what do you mean? Like, do I need to book a flight? I was like, yeah, you can, because we usually fly Delta and they have, well, most airlines have like that 24-hour grace period, I guess, for you to cancel your flight and get a full refund. So I was like, sure, babe, like just book a flight. And the earliest flight that Minnesota had to get to LA, which was a nonstop flight, got him there at like 11 a.m. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Because my contractions aren't consistent. I'm kind of hoping this is a false alarm. And so we were all good. So I text my doctor and I'm like, hey, I had a few contractions, but they're not consistent. And just to give him a heads up. So he texts me back and he's like, well, when they're 5 minutes or less, let me know and we'll head to the hospital. And I'm like, okay, cool. Meanwhile, my mom, who's still in panic mode with a full face of makeup and my hospital bag, is like, it's time to get in the car. I'm like, wait. So my nanny pulls up. She gets here. We kind of get her comfortable and situated. The kids are still sleeping. And it was a rainy night, as I said. So my mom goes and gets the car. She's already put my bag in the trunk. And she's like, McKenzie, let's go. Like, she knows how fast my labors kind of move, right? Because I told you with Kenzo, my labor was 3 hours. And then with KJ, it was 45 minutes. So they always say that your labor's kind of like split in half as they go along. So my mom is thinking now that I'm going to have the baby like in the car if my water breaks. And that was like the main sign with my previous 2 kids was like, when my water breaks, is showtime. And my water didn't break. And I was having like these random contractions. And I thought they were Braxton Hicks contractions. So I didn't take them seriously at all. And like I said, I was kind of like talking through them and chilling and hanging out. And another pointer for new moms, if you've never had a child before, you really want to labor at home. As soon as you get to the hospital, for whatever reason, your contractions intensify. So labor as long as you can at home. I know there's those like super like self-diagnosis type of people who kind of like always rush to the doctor or rush to the hospital. No, don't rush to the hospital, especially if you can be in the comfort of your own home having contractions. It's way better than being in a hospital bed strapped with like monitors and all that. You want to labor at home as long as possible. Side note. But anyways, as I was saying, I didn't take the contractions seriously at all. And I really didn't think it was showtime. So my mom pulls the car around. She has my suitcase in the trunk, my hospital bag that she packed. And we head to the hospital. Mind you, I didn't text my doctor because they're not 5 minutes apart. I'm just kind of like going with my mom because she's so nervous. We make it to the hospital. It was like 11:30 at night. It was like 11:30 at night. I'm out to here, pregnant, 38 weeks. And so as soon as we pull up and we valet at the hospital, I get out of the car, my mom gets out, and then someone's outside with like a wheelchair. So it's like, it was kind of funny how everyone around me was rushing, but I was kind of like chilling. My mom was rushing. This man who worked at the hospital, nurse or whatever, was like, are you ready to go up? So he like sits me down and like wheels me around the hospital to get me where I need to go. And I'm like, okay. And I sign in. They put me in like a pre-labor room, whatever, when you're having the baby. So they go over our information. I'm kind of just chilling. I have like a few more contractions, but they're still not consistent, still not 5 minutes apart. I have not texted my doctor anything to let him know. Because I almost felt like they were going to send me home because, I don't know, I didn't think it was time. So we're in this little room. She asked me these questions. We kind of give Contavious an update, like we made it to the hospital. We still don't know if it's time yet, because I didn't even know if I was dilating, because I'd gone to the doctor a week before and I was 1 centimeter dilated, which is not a lot. You have to get to a 9 whenever, and that means like the baby's here, his head is like saying hello. But I was at a 1. Rewind to when I had Kenzo, I was 4 centimeters for a week before I had him. I was just walking around 4 centimeters pregnant before my water even broke. Fast forward to now, I was 1 centimeter for a week. I was having these tiny little contractions. Well, what I felt like was tiny, but apparently they were major. So I didn't really think it was go time. But anyways, we give him an update, let him know we made it to the hospital. The doctor or the nurse kind of checks me and she says I'm at a 3. I'm still kind of like, okay, we have a long way to go. But at this time, Kentavious is like, okay, well, maybe I need to like move up my flight. But the only direct flight got him in at 11 a.m. So at this point, my mom is like rushing through, like searching different airlines, and she calls Delta, and there's actually like an 8 a.m. that they had available with like 1 more seat left. And so she books that one to get him there a little bit earlier, because everyone feels like it's gonna happen. I was like, no, like we'll be fine. So we do everything in the pre-labor room where they, they're doing my registration, whatever. And then it comes time for me to get an IV. The nurse in the pre-labor room missed my vein. And so she's like, I have a thing where I just don't poke people twice. So I'm going to wheel you over to your room and I'm going to have the other nurse do it. She's really great. So the nurse, the pre-labor nurse wheels me over to the other room, which is like the labor and delivery room, which obviously they decided not to let me go home. So I'm in the room. She's asked me a few questions while she gets my IV ready. And she asked me if I want an epidural. Of course I want the epidural. I've always wanted an epidural. I know there's a lot of people that don't, are kind of against it, but I always knew that I wanted a lot of kids and I never wanted to have a bad labor experience. So I'm like, numb me please, like give it to me. I kind of want to like walk into the hospital room backwards, like put this in my back now. So she asked me if I want an epidural, but there was a waiting list, and I was like, okay, cool. So she gives me the IV, and I turn over to go to sleep so I can wait on my epidural. And I have like 1 really long contraction. And I kind of like look up to my mom, and I'm, at this point, I know I'm probably like screaming like in the movie, but you kind of like have this out of body experience where you're like processing things on the inside and the outside is like completely a different issue. But I look up at my mom, and it was like probably like the eye contact letting her know like the baby's coming right now. So I had that 1 really long contraction and my water breaks. And so I know I'm like screaming during this time because I'm kind of like, I had this 1 extremely painful long contraction, and the nurse is like, okay, let me check you. And I'm like, no. Like I remember saying like, no, because I felt him coming already. Like I could already like feel his head. And at that moment in time, I had like this moment of silence through all the chaos that like, girl, you about to have this baby and you don't have your epidural. You're really about to have this baby natural. And I was so scared. So I remember all these nurses rushing in the room because obviously my doctor is not there. I had never texted him because my contractions had never gone down to like 5 minutes. And I technically was not in active labor unless they were under 5 minutes or my water broke. So like I said, I was not taking it seriously at all. All the nurses rush into the room. Like I said, I had this 1 really long contraction. My water broke. I turn over. The lady tries to check me and I'm like, no. And I open my legs. She like looks down to check me and she's like, oh no, he's coming. And I could feel it. I knew his head was there. They didn't even have time to lift up the stirrups or anything. 1 long push and Kendrick's was there on the bed or in the nurse's arms. I delivered him literally on the bed. 1 long push and he was there. And during this time, I was still trying to process everything that happened because, mind you, this whole night I was never taking it seriously at all. I had no idea that my baby was about to come, especially he was early. My previous 2 children were born at 39 weeks on the dot. So that's what we were planning for, 39 weeks on the dot. He was going to be there. No, this baby came at 38 weeks and 3 days with a mind of his own, a plan of his own. I had him all natural. I'm kind of proud of that now. I was so terrified, let me tell you that. But yeah, I did it and he was there. I really had no choice because I felt like if I hadn't listened to my mom and gotten in the car, I probably could have had the baby at home. The way it all went down. So I really don't even know how to, people are like, how long was your labor? Blah, blah, blah. I really don't know because it was like literally my water broke and then I had to push. So I don't know if you count that little amount of time or what, because I never really had consistent contractions, but I just know for my next child, well, I don't know for my next child. I might have the baby at home. I don't know, but it was like super quick. Of course, everyone's like, well, did it hurt? Did it hurt? Of course it hurt. What does it feel like? It's the worst pain you've ever felt in your life, actually. It's kind of like indescribable. But I mean, you just have to remember that you're made for this. Your body's made for this. That was kind of scary, huh? All I can tell you is I did it so you can do it too. And I can say for having a natural labor, my recovery was way faster, way smoother. But yeah, so after I had him, like I said, they had no time to even like put up the little leg stirrups for my feet. My doctor was not there. And obviously my husband was not there. He was in Minnesota. And for them, it was like 3 a.m. He was supposed to go to the airport like around 8. And yeah, it was just me and my mom and all these nurses that rushed in. And yeah, I pushed Kendricks out. One long push. And it was so funny when the nurse picked him up and tried to give him to me. I heard her say, oh my God, his head is perfect. He looks like a C-section baby. Because mostly, or most times, when you have a vaginal birth, the baby's head is kind of like coned just from pushing him out, which is completely normal. And the doctor or the nurse kind of shapes the baby's head. And yeah, it was just so funny to me that she said that the baby's head was so perfect because he just came out in one push. He was not like, his head was not compressed at all. It was just so quick. And yeah, that's how it happened. A lot of people have asked me advice on natural birth at the hospital or at home. First of all, I don't know who cleans up the mess when you have a baby at home. That's the part that kind of worries me. Also, the hospital is the safest place to be if anything goes wrong. And they do have natural birthing centers at the hospital. That would be my recommendation. Everyone is different. I know that. It's perfectly fine. Whatever you prefer. But for those asking my opinion, if you want an epidural, do it. If you want a natural birth, do it. My only suggestion would be to have them in the hospital, just so you have a full staff dedicated to you. You don't have to get in a car and rush to the hospital if anything happens, or I really don't know how these births go at home, but it would be better to have all the staff available to you, all the supplies, anything that you need available to you in case of an emergency, because just anything can happen to you or your baby. And, we want both of you to be okay and make it and have a beautiful experience. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Let me know if you guys have any more questions in the comments below. I'm happy to answer. Everyone's experiences are always going to be different, but that's just my little 2 cents. I also wanted to talk, or touch on a little bit about my postpartum journey with baby number 3. Postpartum journeys, and I hate to use this word, but postpartum depression is very real. Okay? If you're feeling like I don't know, any type of sort of negativity. I feel like mine was kind of like surface deep and I could really like get myself back together. But if you are feeling any type of way that you feel is not normal after your delivery, please talk to someone. Please. That's just a disclaimer. Mental health is real, and everyone deserves to be happy. And if it takes talking to someone or doing things that help you get back into a positive place, that are safe to you and your family, please do them. Yeah. So, as I said, this journey was a little bit more difficult for me. When we brought the baby home from the hospital, because we didn't let the kids come to the hospital. I was only in there for like a day because my recovery was so quick, having a natural delivery this time around. So I was home. Yeah, I was home on the 7th. He was born on the 6th. I came home on the 7th, and we introduced Kenzo and KJ to the baby. Kenzo was extremely welcoming. Oh my God, he was so proud of his new little brother, and he was so happy. And rewind, when we walked into the house, the kids had these signs up like "Welcome, baby Kendricks," and it was so cute. They had made cards, like happy birthday cards for the baby. It's like so cute. But yeah, as I was saying, Kenzo was very happy and so proud of his baby brother. KJ, on the other hand, man, he saw me holding Kendricks and kind of looked at him like he was disgusted. And I was like, KJ, this is your baby brother. And he wanted nothing to do with him. Every time I would bring his name up, he would change the subject. He was like so over it. And at first I didn't think anything of it. I thought, maybe he doesn't realize this is a real baby. He hasn't really been around anyone younger than him. Yeah, no, he hasn't. He hasn't been around anyone younger than him very often. So I don't know. I just thought he was like registering that, what is this thing mommy's holding? I don't know. So that was hard. And so, yeah, KJ had a difficult time in the beginning. Yeah, so he didn't embrace Kendricks at all. He actually went, I think it was 5 to 6 days without eating. Yeah, KJ had a really rough transition to being a big brother. And it could be, having 2 kids under 2 and they're the same gender, like having brothers. Now it's like, oh, well, you're the baby boy, or I don't know. But it was rough. Oh my God, that just like crushed me. It really broke my heart to see KJ not eating. Because, if y'all follow me on Instagram or have seen me post those little videos, like, KJ is extremely outgoing, loves the camera, loves to eat. He's our little chunky baby. But yeah, he was not having it. He did not eat. I actually had to put him on Pedialyte because he was losing so much weight, which he has recently gained his weight back. I'm so proud. But yeah, seeing KJ go through that phase of, of sadness. He was a lot more fussy. He wanted my attention. And kind of felt like he was acting out. That just like completely broke my heart. And then I felt selfish, like, I don't know, I just had these emotions like, am I selfish to have 3 kids right now? Should I have spaced them out more because he's still 1 year old or 1 year old? Should I have waited? I don't know. I just had all these feelings of like doubt. And so I was feeling guilty. I never resented Kendricks. I love my baby to death. I just felt like bad for KJ and maybe I should have waited longer. I then had these feelings of resentment towards my husband because he obviously did not make the labor, but there was nothing he could do. So I was like having all these emotions about things that were out of my control. I can't control how KJ feels. He's trying to understand the whole thing. He's, 19 months old. And My husband couldn't be there because he was working. It didn't matter if he got on a private plane, he still wouldn't have made it. I then started to share my weight loss journey on Instagram, being that I did gain 60 pounds during my third pregnancy. I gained 60 pounds every time. This is nothing new. This is my third go round. Hopefully I lose it as I did the first 2 times. But I did share that in the first 2 weeks I lost 30 pounds. I'm now at 180. I've kind of like plateaued. I was 210 pounds when I delivered. I'm 5'10". For those who are going to ask, I'm 5'10", I'm 5'10", I'm 5'10", I'm 5'10". I should probably name this video I'm 5'10", because I get that question so much. But yeah, 210 when I delivered, which is the highest I've ever been, the highest weight I've ever been. I was 205 with Kenzo and 202 with KJ. So I made it to 210, a new goal, woohoo. Made it to 210. I'm now 180, where I've plateaued, and I shared that on Instagram, which was a tough crowd, because I think it was like the first 2 weeks I lost 30 pounds, which a lot of it was like fluid, 7 of it was the baby. I mean, this is all normal to have like an extreme, you know, you probably lose like 15 pounds before you leave the hospital, and that's just for anybody. But yeah, it was kind of like rough. People, you know, if you're too big, they think, oh, well, she's not going to shake back. Or if you're too small, people think you did something extra, you know, lipo, or I don't know, are you working out? No, I'm not working out. And no, I didn't get lipo. I have nothing against plastic surgery. I personally have not gone to that extreme. Well, I've had my boobs done. But I have nothing against people that get their bodies done. Shoot, I might one day. I don't know. But it's just like, you know, people are so judgmental, like off the rip. I'm like, dang, I don't even know you. But yeah, I was like trying to be transparent about that. And, you know, people think that, I don't know, you did something crazy. But I do plan to share my weight loss journey with you guys. Like I said, I'm at 180. My goal is 150. I was 155 before I had the baby, so I wouldn't mind getting back to that, but 150 would be the goal. That would be like slim and trim. But yeah, I don't know. It was like all these weird thoughts that are like so hard for me to even comprehend now, because my life is so blessed. And, you know, I thank God every day for my husband, my kids, my family, my support system. Well, I know this video was kind of like a serious one. I hate to like, I don't know, be all serious and stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out there because I did get so many questions about my labor and delivery story. I did want to shed light on people who are going through a postpartum journey. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and you can do it. You can do it. But yeah, if you guys have any more questions, comment below. Let me know what else you want to see. I am going to film the highly requested How I Met My Husband video. That is up next. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.